Check, check, 1, 2. Hello, hello, everybody.
Good morning. Did you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Good.
Ah, we have another. But wait, there's more.
Howdy, come on in.
Hey, how you going?
Good, how are you?
All right. Well, I forgot about this. Wife said, "Are you gonna go to that meeting?" I said, "Well, hon, I thought it was on Friday."
I understand.
Find out about some of this newfangled technology.
Welcome. I know it's 6 o'clock, but we're not quite streaming yet. We are streaming? Oh, well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the AMI customer education portion of this month. We are trying to get everyone educated as much as we can about our new AMI meters. And
You're replacing the whole meter itself?
correct, we are, and we'll get to those questions here in a minute. We got a small little presentation, and at the end we'll do questions if you have questions. Since we're live streaming for all those folks at home so they can hear your question, there's a microphone up here which we'll come to and we'll ask questions. Such a big gathering, I'm kind of nervous to be talking in front of such a large crowd. But we do have everyone streaming out there, so we really appreciate everyone out there joining us. So we're going to first go in through the customer portal. We're first going to go through the overview. We're going to talk about the background, the reason for exploring options, why we decided to go with an AMI system, and then we'll have questions. So the background. So an AMR is an automatic reading system. We had this installed around the 2013, 2014 timeframe is when those meters started getting put in. Those meters were an R radio, or what we know as an R radio, and they were purchased all at the same time. The M radio, so as the R radio went out, because the technology changed to the M radio, the technology was no longer supported by our current meter system and the provider. So that was one of the reasons for exploring these options. So AMR system is going obsolete, no longer supported by the supplier. We needed to purchase a new collector. So a collector is a piece of hardware that we put in the truck, and as we drive by, it collects the data. And if that were to go bad, we'd have to purchase one outright because they no longer supported or repair those. So the MXUs are what attaches to the meter itself that sends the signal so that when the truck drives by, it could collect the data. And so if those go out, we also could not replace those. We'd have to purchase new meters. New MXUs, which is the radio portion of that meter. And when we had that, even if we were to purchase those, we still wouldn't have a collector to read it. So we'd have to buy a new collector and new MXUs for the whole city. So this led to 40 meters requiring manual reads every month as we collected that data. And so it had only increased as meters or MXUs went bad. When MXUs failed, then we no longer could use the new MXUs. They weren't made anymore, and we had no way of doing that. So in the meters could be switched out in using the current MXU. But the problem wasn't the meters, it was the MXU being out of date. So I just want to be clear on that. And we were replacing an average of 2 meters per month. So because they were either blank or backwards readings. we analyzed the size of the meter base, and when we looked at the whole aspect of the job, we looked at the size of the meter base and what was used and what we needed, the vulnerability of the system, the benefits of a customer portal. Do we need a customer portal? Do we not need a customer portal? The time and money spent in our current system, the current cost of an AMR system and a current cost of an AMI system, and compared those two. Also historically how the price of an AMI system has come down. We looked at all those things. And the best fit for Garden Ridge with the lifespan of the equipment. So we did the best bang for buck, if you will. So the AMR system, this is the drive-by system. The smart meter technology is the ability to store and use data along with alarms. The AMR system, you're able to collect the meter readings by driving close to the meter. The low cost of the meter reading, less time reading meters. Meters can be read in hours and not days. The shortfalls for an AMR system was meters can be missed and still need to be manually read. So we still have to do meter reading around holidays and weekends. It takes manpower away from other jobs to do these jobs. Abnormal readings would have to be manually reviewed. Laptops can only go back about 30 days when you're looking at historical data. So if there was something that happened longer than that, we couldn't collect that data any longer. It was rewritten or overwritten. Problems can only be detected after driving by and capturing the data. So unless you saw water blowing out of the ground, or you got your bill and saying, oh my gosh, something's going on, I have a leak, or something's going on, I don't know what's going on, you wouldn't know until you got your bill a lot of times. So we looked at the AMI, which is Advanced Meter Infrastructure, and it integrated this system. So basically what it is you have one port that sends out signals that collects the data all at one time versus driving by, and we collect it every 3 hours. So that data is able to be collected every 3 hours. So we can get that data a lot quicker into our system. The AMI benefits. Meters can be read instantly and can be set on a regular schedule. There's no worries about weekends or holidays. Hourly readings will be logged and saved, so you can look at your use hourly of how much water you use hourly.
Now, will this maintain a history? In other words, you can go back to the beginning of when the meter was installed.
So we have a question of the history of the water data history, and yes, it'll collect that data, and you'll be able to go historically back and look at all that data. And we'll get into that here in a little bit when we go over the customer portal and what you can actually see.
Well, I have a few other questions, so I'll wait.
Okay. The water department can get reports, custom leaks, watering outside of allotted times. We can get reports on a lot of different things that burst alarms, leaks, stuff like that. Water department can notify any alarms like tampering or busted pipes and more. Yeah, see, like right there. So we can also notify customers if there's something going on with the water, like a boil water notice, or if there's something going in our system. A meter that isn't reading will be caught and repaired, minimize the loss of revenue. It'll also catch the loss of water that is being lost at your house, so you won't have to be paying for it. All right. So the radio health concerns, we're going to bring up Mr. Mueller, and he's going to go ahead and talk about the radio health concerns and the security questions.
Thank you, Mr. Parsons. Appreciate that. As I said, I'm Mr. Mueller. I'm on the Water Commission, and I've been on the Water Commission for a little over a year now, and been involved with this AMI project for quite some time. I'll talk a little bit about some radio concerns and answer any questions you guys might have, and talk about the cyber protections that are in here also. First of all, the radio concerns, these meters do transmit. They transmit on a couple of different frequencies. It is a licensed frequency, so it's specific to the city of Garden Ridge. The transmit power of these is about 2 watts, which probably doesn't mean a whole lot, but that is your cell phone that lives in your pocket can transmit up to 3 watts. So a 2-watt transmitter is less than your cell phone, and it's buried in your yard. So we feel pretty comfortable about lack of a risk for radio frequency health concerns for everyone that is out there. I also want to bring up that this is a smart network, and the transmitters will actually vary their transmission and they will only transmit enough to reach the base station where those might be. And there are 2 base stations, right, one on each of our water towers, or just the one? Just one base station. Thank you. So as you can see on there also that these safety standards are checked out by the FCC and several other regulatory bodies to be safe for you. For the cybersecurity concerns that are out there, all these systems, there's multiple systems that we looked at here, and all these systems are very well protected. The different types of items that you see in there, there's the integrity checks and the authentication, role-based access. There's just a whole host of security features built in for you. The data that is stored is the minimum amount of data to manage your accounts, and that data is stored on a secure server and backed up occasionally on a separate hard drive. What I will say on that is the information for all the customers is the sole property of the city. It is not allowed to be used by anyone else involved in this process for any kind of marketing or anything like that. It is just the data, like I said, to help us run the water department. I think we mentioned all the stuff that is in here. The firmware management is also a big piece of it, and integrity checks, but there are certainly enough. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
So can you tell me what Ready Manager is and where it is?
So the Ready Manager is the architecture that provides the security for the system, and I forget exactly where it's based out of. I think Atlanta for some reason, but it's owned by the company, and that is the overall architecture that protects all the information and connects all the different pieces of the system.
Thank you.
The question was, what is a Ready Manager? Is that a good enough statement for you there, the architecture that controls the entire system? Okay, thank you. I think the last thing I want to mention on here is that this system is certified at the highest level of the industry standards that are out there. It has a continuous certification process that includes third-party penetration testing. So once again, it just goes to the integrity and the security and the health of the overall system. So are there any other questions before I move off the stage here? Yes, sir.
Going back to why this was, I'm sorry, you go ahead.
To the mic.
They can't hear you.
Oh, okay. Hey, we actually got a mic. I should have brought my own. I could have tied it in. Going back to the beginning of this, my question is, yes, the system's out of date, but when you purchased that last system, what was the reason for the company going out of business as far as supporting this system? I know with the government, if we buy anything, and I worked for the government for 47 years, they have a requirement, most corporations, of supporting that equipment for at least 10 years, especially when you're doing aerospace products and stuff. Why weren't they supporting it?
I'm not exactly sure why they're no longer supporting it. Do you know, Mr. Parsons?
I mean, this is an awful lot of money to pay for a system, and then they had to go back out and do it again, and especially as a sport, when a meter goes bad, or let's say your base station goes bad, computer. We should have at least a long-term agreement that they would support this equipment.
Yeah, I can't speak about the previous purchase and what happened there, but I will say for the current purchase, that was a very big part of our our decision process and looking at long-term support and make sure that none of this would be obsolete data. So we do, on this agreement, certainly, we do have that, those agreements in place for supportability for a 20-year lifespan.
20-year, good, good. Another thing, well, I know most, a few of the people. I was a pretty good friend of Royce's. And I know the guys that drive around checking this. Why don't you have a system like CPS that it's sort of a daisy chain? All the information is transmitted from one meter to another meter back to the base station in San Antonio, and they don't have to have drive around monitoring of the meters every time you're getting ready to, to finalize monthly bill.
So I'm not sure.
Why not have it just transmitted to the base station here and everything done by the computer here in Garden Ridge?
That's exactly what this new system is going to provide for us.
Okay.
It's all going to transmit directly from your meter to the base station, which is right here at City Hall, and then into the computer architecture.
So basically, you're doing away with the drive-by.
Yes, sir, we are.
That's
now, this
good.
does have a drive-by backup in case if there's any kind of system problems.
Well, I'm really, I check my meter once a day. I want to make sure that the water, I've had a couple of leaks in the past where I didn't know about it. And I was just about getting ready to put in my own monitoring system off the meter into my house so I could monitor it. But this is good that it comes along. You got software where we can do it by
Yes, sir. You'll
computer.
see that in a little bit, the water monitoring system. And I've actually used it already because I had a leak on my property and then had it fixed. And then
Well, it's fairly
check our-
easy. It's fairly easy to hook up a monitoring system. That's got several extra set of contacts in that old meter, which I could have just hooked it in for about $150. But that's all the questions I've got
Yes, sir.
as of right now. I don't think something else.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
John L. Holly. I have a couple of questions. How often is information pushed out to the customer?
So the radio transmits every 4 hours, but it will, looking back, it's hourly data. So it only transmits once every 4 hours, but the data it transmits, it's a burst of data for hourly data.
But how often does the customer get access to the most current data?
As soon as it transmits, you have access to it through the customer portal.
So if you have the software hooked up, it'll automatically update on the computer. That's
Yes, sir.
If
You
you
see
have
the
it-
same data the water company sees through the customer portal.
Okay, we'll look at that in a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Since the new meters are better, I guess, and you say they have a 20-year lifespan,
Yes, sir.
how long does the battery last?
The battery is warranted for 20 years.
Mm,
It's proportional warranty for 20 years, but they're supposed to last 20 years.
okay.
10 years in proportion to 17.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I guess I misspoke there. Go ahead.
a good question. You got it. You're on top of it.
So the battery life is a 10-year, 100% guaranteed, and then the second 10-year is prorated for that second 10 years. So if it's 90% of it, then you'll get back that 10%. So that's what we also looked at that, and most of the meters, this new technology that we looked at was all pretty similar with their warranties. And I don't mean to interrupt, but we're going to answer all these questions. He was specifically looking for questions for cybersecurity. If you have any cybersecurity questions or health concerns, that's what he was going to answer.
Ready Manager was it, and where does it come from? Why is it there? What's going on with it? It's not local, but most stuff isn't. No problem. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I'm honestly, I apologize, I'm not quite sure what you're meaning. The Ready Manager, and we're going to be getting into Ready Manager. The Ready Manager is basically the software that all the data collects to and then is distributed, so you get to see it. So we'll be linking into a H2O Analytics, which reads that Ready Manager information and sorts it so it's an easy to view for the customers. So it's a customer portal, so you can view it. So
Okay.
once we get into it, and we'll show you, and you can look at it, and then we'll try to go through those questions.
I'll be more patient, sorry.
I know, I apologize for not being more
Okay.
clear.
I was thinking maybe when you were saying ready manager, it might be some other city or whatever that's got a base station that monitors everything.
So next up, we're gonna go through the customer portal. We're gonna bring up Mr. Chair Valdez. He's the chair of our water commission. Also have to mention that Mr. Mueller is also a member at large for our water commission. They're on the subcommittee that we put together to look at all this data, and that's why they have so much good knowledge of this. So, do you have anything?
Okay, so now I want to cover the customer portal where you can get your data, look at, whether it's get on the computer or on your phone or any access, you have different way to access it, so. So I'm going to show you a couple of things first. Just gotta go here. This is the customer portal is H2O Analytics. You'll receive communication with the instructions on how to set up your data. So this is the first thing. This is when you first get in there. So this is the link right here. But you'll have there's instructions up there on the table.
And on the city's website.
And you,
They're on the city's website.
on the web page too. So they're on the web page. You have these instructions. They're available on the table, so you can take them with you to fill how to fill it in. But
It's gonna be done.
So the first thing you do is, create the profile, and so you'll get this screen, and it's enter City of Garden Ridge first. That's the utility name. You enter your account number that's on your water bill. Look at your water bill, and then you be sure you put the dash. There's dashes in the account number. Be sure you put those dashes in there as well. And then you enter your username that you want to use for this account, a password, and then confirm your password. And then they'll ask you for how you want to see your date, your name, last name, and email address so they can contact you. And you'll receive an email. Once you agree to this and register, you'll get an email that you have to go back to that email and then to log back in.
Yeah.
And that's when you log in. And so you'll show up here. So all I'm going to do now is, see here. The best thing to do is, how do I get out of here? Escape. And then, okay, so here's my account. Okay, you'll see it there. This is live. And somebody asked a question about how long the data is. When I looked a little while ago, because you can look at, where's the mouse here? You can look at hourly data. See, every hour it has there. And the last point over here was actually at 3 o'clock. No, that's 2 o'clock there. Well, my phone was 3 o'clock. So the data was 4 hours old at this point. So you're getting within 3 or 4 hours, you're getting current data. But you can see, you can put the cursor on every one of these, and you can see how much that hour, what hour it was. So like that one it's on December the 9th, Wednesday at 10 p.m., and it was 11 gallons. Okay? So you just move your cursor around. And what you can do is if you go to here, I'm going to circle it, there's a little down arrow right there. And what you can do with that down arrow, it'll send you the data in Excel to your email account that you have set up. Okay, all you do is hit OK here at that point. And I actually have an example here. So this is my data that I sent to myself yesterday. And I was able to go on here, and I actually started making notes so you can see what here. Let me see if I can blow it up a little bit more. So I can look at it's hourly data. This column here, column C, is the actual gallons for that 1 hour. And this is your meter reading. So this is the actual meter reading that's out there. So you don't have to go out there and read it anymore manually. You got your meter reading here, and you can compare it to when you get your water bill. But I started looking at, here was the meter was installed on the 17th at 3 o'clock, roughly. And then I already had right here, when, you know, when my wife was, had the irrigation system for the water beds, for the flower beds. I found here, there's, you know, she has it every 3 days, watering the flower beds. See? And then I got here for when I irrigate the lawn. We tested the lawn and we'll see how it was comparing. I turned it off, my irrigation since then. But I can also look at when laundry was done, okay? When my water softener regeneration was done. Because I know those kind of things. So you can look at that, you can see what's actually going on if you want to. Yes, sir. Yeah. Is that better? Okay.
Thank you.
Were the comments the things that you put in?
Yeah, these are added just so I can show you examples of what I was doing. And I'm gonna start, you know, you can start tracking, you know, when you do laundry, when you know, dishwasher, whatever. You can start looking at that. But look at your irrigation and see what may be reasonable. Because I know last year, June of 2019, I requested data on mine because I was high usage. And it turned out my irrigation system was running twice as long. It ran one cycle and then it ran again. I was using up to 4,000 gallons a day.
I went on, after setting a new timer, I went on vacation for 2 weeks.
And that,
Come back, $300 bill. I mean,
so,
what it did is turned on, it never turned off.
well, you'll be able to, and so I'll go back to, let me see, I also have, you can also download weather data if you want. It says weather? Yeah. I'll show you, I'll go back to the screen how to do this, but it shows you by date, and it goes way back. I think it was it was 08 when it goes back to data, but it gives you low temperature, high temperature if you want. That's just, again, it's just information that was available there. And see, it's when you go, so here's the usage data, and then the weather data is right here. The blue columns are rainfall. Now this is composite for the area. This includes San Antonio International, New Braunfels, and Randolph Air Force Base combined, or you can look at either one of those directly. And the pink is the low and high temperature for that day. So, going back to usage, okay, so I'll point out how to get on your phone in a minute here. But there's a gear right here on their notifications. There's a little gear to the right there. And here's where you can set some settings to yourself. You enter your email and your phone number that you want to send things to, you know, what you want sent to. Yeah, you can set emails to any one of these. This is the default. They'll show up as email, your default. You can turn them off if you want. And then you can have an option of either sending you getting a call or a text for a different one of these items. If you go over here to the right where the eye is, that's the information. Just hover over it, and a little block comes up with what it says, what it is. I can't read it.
You and me both.
But anyway, it gives you an explanation, and it may be hard to understand, but you know, it's looking at, the first one's looking at burst. You know, if you have a major burst leak. And then the next one is a leak. Yeah. But then there's also things that you can set, actually, and these are those values are set by the system. They're all the same. You cannot set the values that those notify you on. The one you do have control over is the continuous flow alert, okay? And you can set it for anywhere from a gallon per hour. And you'll have to run, like say for this one, 24 hours. If you're running a gallon an hour for 24 hours, you'll get an alert then. If you want to set it for 5 gallons, 10 gallons, you can set it for 4 hours, whatever you think you want to do there. And it'll send you an alert. The one down here, you can set, you know, if you want to be notified, if your bill's going to be over 25,000 gallons, for example, you can go down here and you set, I have mine set at 25,000. So at 25,000 gallons, when the usage for that month is already 25, I'll get an alert at that point. Start thinking about that. You can set that for anything you want. or turn it off. If you're away from home, leave this off unless you're away from home, okay? Because if you're away from home, you can set up a call that says if you use any gallons, anywhere from 0, 1 gallon, 2 gallons, for any time period, you'll get an alert while you're away. So that way, if you're out of town and something happens, you'll know. Now, at the same time, the water department will be getting these same alerts for everybody. Okay? Yes, sir.
The other day, Mr. Holloway, he asked if there was any trending that was able to be done with the system. But in here, it shows in your spots where you were talking about the check mark, there's a value that's been put in there. Was that value populated by the city, or did they just read it off the bill? You'd have to go back to the check boxes.
You talking about here?
No, further down. It's the last one, I think.
The last one, the away from home?
Okay. See, on that one, it's on the side. On the phone, it's in a different location. But yeah,
Okay,
it's right
yeah.
there. It says like 25,000 gallons monthly.
Right.
Who sets that up?
You said, you can change that to whatever you want.
Okay.
So it was actually defaulted at 15, I changed it to 25,
Okay.
okay?
That's what I was asking.
Yeah, the items in square, it's also the dates here. Snooze alarm. It's just like a snooze alarm. So if you get an alert for one item, it won't, if it's still there for 30 days, it'll reset it. If it's gone and you get it again, then it'll trigger another alarm. It won't wait for 30 days, okay? What else? Let me go back to, I'm gonna go back to here. So to set it up on your phone, you have to download the app first. The app is My Meter Info. And then when you get that app set up on your phone, it'll ask you to scan this QR code. And you get it by clicking on this phone symbol right there under account summary. You can on your phone, and then you set up, your account's automatically set up. You don't have to enter anything else, password or anything, and you'll have it there. I was going to show something else here, like if you look at monthly data, this is how much was added to because it was in the meter was installed in the middle of the monthly billing cycle. So this is almost 4,000 gallons were added to the previous reading. But at this month right now, look, I'm at 800 gallons, looks like. Okay, for the month. So you can look at what it is at this point for this coming bill. What your bill is going to be so far. You can estimate that. You can also look at daily. So you got hourly, daily, and monthly data. And so you can see where my high bills were when I'm running the sprinkler system. But that was I wanted to test it for a week before I turned it off to see what the data was before I turned it off. Okay. Any other questions on the customer portal?
When you look at that customer portal, when you're looking at the customer portal, there's a number at the bottom. I think it's on the monthly, on the daily and on the hourly tabs. It's there too, I believe.
Is all those pictures down there?
I didn't hear you.
You talking about on your phone?
Yeah, it's up there too. This number here.
That's your meter number.
That's the meter
That
number.
actually corresponds to your meter.
Because I was wondering why it never changed.
Yeah, so that number should match up here where it says meter information, comes through a 3/4 inch.
Okay.
That's actually your meter number it's your meter. So everybody will have a unique meter reading, meter. So. And it just shows up on the phone. Yeah, that's what I was, yeah. Okay. Go back to the presentation, is there anything else you want to show on there, Jacob? Yeah. You want to use this?
I'll come back in.
There's a couple of things I want to highlight. Also, when you're trying to get on your phone, let's say you get in your account and you put in your information on the computer and you get your account set up. you can come to this, and if you have an iPhone or if you have an Android, you can just click this right here. It'll automatically bring you to where you can install your information. So if you're doing it on your search engine on your phone and you click on that, you can get it right there, the info right there. So I wanted to highlight that. And then also, I wanted to, when we're setting up this information here, the snooze days you can automatically set hover and all that stuff. But also here you have your call window. If you don't want calls in the middle of the night, you want to wait to the next day, you can set that up for either phone calls and or text and or emails. If you wanted to have them no matter what day or night, what you want to do is you want to set both the top and the bottom at the same exact time. So 9 o'clock to 9 o'clock a.m. and you will receive phone calls no matter what day or night for that. And if you don't want to, you can absolutely set that to whatever you want it to be. So, and I don't remember what you had at, but I'm just going to put it in for now. Fix it later.
Why would you set us? I don't understand the snooze alert.
So the question is why would you want to set an alarm not being sent to you? If you're in the middle of the night and you don't want necessarily to be alerted for any alarms, you want to wait till the next day, then you can set that up to where you won't get alarms
I
at 2
understand the time, but I mean that column. The snooze
Okay,
day.
so the snooze portion is if you get an alarm says, let's just say you had a leak info code active. So you have an active leak,
Right.
and you're going to sit there and say, no, I'm filling up my pool.
Oh.
I don't want to be alerted, and you can change this to be 30 days. And if you have an active leak for over whatever, let's say it's 10 days,
Okay.
so you change it to 10 days. And let's say after 10 days it's still going, you're like, oh, I thought we fixed that. Apparently not. It'll alarm you again. So you can have as close or as far away alarms as you want, whatever the system allows. So I wanted to highlight that as well.
Okay, pull that back up.
Yeah, I don't mind.
We just got a question about the vacation alert again. Can you just talk about that one more time?
The away from home alert. So let's just say I'm going out of town and I know that I don't have my sprinkler system on. I don't have irrigation, water softener. I don't have anything. And I want to know if anything happens, any gallons. So I can set this up for 5 gallons. If more than 5 gallons goes through that, then, or 1 gallon, then it will automatically alarm me and tell me that I want to be notified if anything goes through that. So you know immediately whenever someone may be coming over and using it, or if you had a break or something like that, because you know you shouldn't have any water being used. So that's just a nice feature when you're leaving away for vacation.
If you're away on vacation and you get an alarm, is there anything you can do about it when you're away?
Correct.
Like shut my water off?
The question is what can you do if you're away on vacation and you get an alarm? If you get an alarm, and you can always call the city and we can go in and look at that. And if it's a busted line, we will shut that water off for you.
Well, what I started doing after I had that high usage while I was on vacation, we go on vacations 3 or 4 times a year. I started just cutting off the water valve out there.
I mean, my husband always shuts off the toilets every time we leave.
I shut off
Yeah.
everything right at the
So the discussion is talking about the when you go away, what can you do to mitigate leaks and stuff like that? And the suggestion is to shut off your water to the house. Yeah, a lot of people do that, and that is recommended if you don't have anything that would be harmed.
I like this idea of the callback because I was at work, this has been several years ago, and lo and behold, that pressure reducer on my, right after my meter, right after the valve, broke. And I come home and the water department, and my neighbor were out there, and I asked my neighbor, what happened? Did your water meter bust? No, it's your water that's flowing down the road. That was a big bill.
My God.
Yeah, and I'm going to send a testimonial out. We've already had 92 meter installed, and we've had 4 individuals that have had leaks that we've been able to catch very quickly and let them know, and they've been able to mitigate those leaks. So the system is working. and customers, and that's before they were on the customer portal. We were notified, and when we saw it, we went ahead and let them know. So you don't necessarily have to be on the customer portal for you to get an alarm. What we are planning on doing is, if there is leaks that happen at your house and we have good contact information for you, we will be immediately sending you an automatic email saying, hey, you have a leak or something's going on there, whatever that is. And once you get that, then it's something that you can let us know, like, hey, that's right, I've got this and we're fixing it, we're repairing it, we know about it, and that's great. If we don't hear from you after the email, we're gonna also call you, give you a phone call saying, hey, by the way, we emailed you, but now we're calling you or texting you, letting you know. And if you're still unable to get you, we'll be coming out to the house and knocking on your door and putting a door hanger out during working days. So,
Could you give a little more explanation on the continuous flow alert?
continuous flow alert is something you can set right here. And if you know that you don't want to exceed
50 gallons.
50 gallons. 50 gallons continuously
For 10 hours.
for how many ever hours? Yeah, for 10 hours, let's just say. You can set that.
That's 50 gallons per hour.
Yep, and that's 50 gallons per hour. That's a lot of water. That's a lot of water. So it would be more advisable to do like 5 gallons an hour for 24 hours or something like that. Or 12 hours or whatever you want to set it. What you'll get to do with your customer portal, it's really in your hands. You can see what you use, how you use it, when you use it, and then you can set it up according to what your trends are for you specifically. When the city looks at trends, we look at trends for the city, and we just set a baseline. We're not going to set trends for every individual person in the city and monitor that for you. This gives the customers the power to be able to set your own trends and or alarms for your own trends. The city will be monitoring on a general aspect.
Well, what I did is I charted out the usage of everything in my house, each individual thing. I've got 7 drip systems, and I know during the time I've got them on exactly to the half a gallon of what I'm using. So I know if something happens and it's doing 50 gallons and it's only supposed to be doing 10, I know that that's going to be a problem there at the time it does it.
And it's good to have those alerts and alarms there when stuff like that happens, and you'll know quickly. We do have water leak adjustments that we're still doing. We're hoping that this helps
No, you don't. You don't have, when someone has a leak, you don't adjust it. I had that leak, and y'all said y'all did away with that.
Okay, so we have parameters for water leak adjustments. Go ahead.
I got the $150 bill for that pressure reducer. I said, hey, I had this leak, I had it repaired, and they said, well, we make no more adjustments for stuff like that.
How long ago was that?
It's been a couple of years ago.
So
That's
we
been
put
maybe
in
3 years
place
ago.
in 2019 a water leak adjustment based on the data we found and how we could go about doing that. We found out what the cost of water was, and that has since been adjusted. But we do now do water leak adjustments with the parameters that are in Ordinance 54. And so the comment was talking about water leak adjustments prior to August of 2019 when water leak adjustments had been suspended until we were able to quantify what leaks were and how much. And so that has been done as of August of last year. It's been put in place, and we've been doing it for over a year now.
Okay, so
both of our commissioners
it's not
have been
happening.
working on many of those cases. We've looked at it. We spent many hours doing that. So it is in place now. We're hoping, though, that this helps customers from losing that water to not even have to worry about it, because the leak will be stopped quickly, and you won't be losing waters for 30 or plus days for long periods of time. So,
Jacob, I want to bring up one, but you mentioned.
would you like to be on speaker?
Yes, and you asked earlier, what can you do about it if you're away from home? Well, actually, on the phone app, there's a tab here just on the far right, and you click that, and it has all the contact information for the city water department right there in the app. So
Thank you.
it should be fairly easy to get a hold of everybody then, right? So,
I love technology when I understand it.
absolutely.
Okay, I'm gonna wrap up this. We've gone through a lot of this information on the customer portal. The laptop's getting ready to die, but let's get into the discussion questions since, I mean, we've been doing that the whole time anyways. But if you have any more questions, these are some of the questions that we've had before. We'll go ahead and kind of go through these. How often does the system update the data in the customer portal? We went over that. About 3 to 4 hours, it should be coming up, and you should be able to see that. Can two people log into the same account? So if you and your spouse want to be on the same account, absolutely, you can do that. You'll have one computer account, and you'll have 2 separate apps on each phone, obviously.
Do you have to have separate password? He has a password and I have a password?
No, it'll be the password for, yeah, just like for your Netflix or something like that, yeah.
Well, I just plan on setting up the computer to monitor it all the time and update. You can do that, right?
Me personally?
Yeah.
I missed your question. You just want to put it on your
Yeah,
computer?
I'm just gonna set it up to monitor it like I have it monitor everything else, cameras.
Yeah, that's fine. And we can help you do that. I mean,
System.
we'll have staff here to help individuals who have questions.
Well, I can do it, I just wanna make sure I can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Can the water be shut off remotely? We do not have meters that shut off water to your house. It cannot be done remotely. Will the system detect small amounts of water running through it? Absolutely it will. It'll detect into the hundreds of gallons as it goes through. If you look at your meter, the physical meter outside, and you open the box, there's a little fingerprint looking thing on the right side of your dial, and if you hit it, it'll show you how many gallons are going through the meter at that moment. So that's a really cool feature. Can we keep our automatic payments, or do we have to go through the new customer portal? If you have automatic drafts set up, it'll continue to be the same, nothing changes. So I wanted to answer those questions. And now if we have any other questions, we can collectively answer them. Yes, sir.
I have a text-in question. It was what do you recommend for continuous use numbers for gallons and number of hours on the alert setup, for the leak alert setup?
The leak setup?
Yes, what do you recommend?
I recommend looking at the trend and seeing what your trend is. Let me pull it. I would say when we find leaks that are consistent, I would say anything that's 5 gallons a minute, gallons an hour over 24-hour period. I would want to see that personally, and the reason for that is when you're shutting off water at the middle of the night, you should not see any water use, and so that 24 hours should catch it. And not only that, but that 5 gallon an hour leak isn't going to cost a lot of water loss. So that's what I personally would do, 5-10 gallons maybe, but in a 24-hour period, something that's lower that you can catch quickly. And then you always have those higher amounts that will be coming through, like a burst in code.
I got another text-in question. Can you send notifications to more than one person?
Can we send notifications to more than one person? It will go to the email that is set up and the text that's set up. So whatever's set up is where it'll go. I'll have to check on that and verify. And also tell the mayor I said hi. Just there is. I'm very curious to know if when you have an app, if it automatically is able to go through that. So I'll ask that question because of 2 different accounts. But I know it'll do for sure one, but we need to check on that. Good question. Do we have any more questions?
One of the things that Jess brought up was you could download information. How would you do that on your phone?
Download information on your phone?
Yes, with the app. I didn't see the icon.
Well, when you download it, it goes to your email. Jesse, isn't that how you got yours when you downloaded it? So when you hit right here for this download, receive an email with a link to the Excel file. So it'll go to your email, and then you can pull up that data.
But it's not on the app.
But it's not on the app.
That little icon.
Okay. Well, you can whenever you get to a computer, you can do that whenever. The data doesn't go away. You can set that and get that data whenever you want. So even if it were to be a month later, you can still get that data and import it to yourself.
But I'd have to go to a computer.
Yes, sir. As of right now.
But if you open your browser on your phone, that's kind of like a computer, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna try it. But I can't get to that browser.
I have seen a lot of different things when it comes to apps versus the search engine on your phone, and a lot of times it's just they make it easier to see through your phone a lot of times, but it doesn't have all the functionality.
Right.
So
Right.
that's typically what happens. And the question was, can you export information hourly and have it emailed to you through the phone? And I don't believe we can as of right now, and it's something we need to check on and get back to you. Any other questions? All right, I think that was really good.
It's a great system.
Yeah, honestly, when we've looked at the system, we looked at a lot of different systems, and we found that this one was very robust and that it is going to stand the test of time. We really put a lot of thought and heart into it. We've been looking at the system for over a year, trying to figure out the best one, and this is what we've come up with. Best bang for the buck.
Big pinch in the wallet, though.
You would be surprised, this is the lowest of the systems that were out there. And when we looked at this 5 years ago, when the city governors looked at this 5 years ago, it was over $1 million to have the same thing. So it's dramatically reduced.
One little question. Is there anywhere in there where you can actually see what the meter actually read? Not the number of gallons, but the meter reading.
On the,
You have to export the data.
yeah, you're talking about on the customer portal. Yeah. I don't remember seeing that on there. So Mr. Valdez is saying that when you export the data, that you'll be able to see what the meter is each time that you go through. It may be on there. I haven't seen it on there.
We would like, what I'd like, and I had this issue with CPS, I'd like to know what that meter, the complete reading of that meter was when you started figuring up your billing, from start to finish. I mean, you take a reading, and let's say 2,400 gallons, and then you fill out a bill, but you don't give us the reading of the meter at the end of that period or 1 month.
Yeah, it's always rounded up.
CPS does the same thing. PCS, nowhere on it. They got a great chart and stuff and how much you use, but they don't tell you what the reading was when they made that reading to figure out the bill.
Yeah, so let me explain that. The question or the statement is how do we know that the meter reading was what it was before and after, and the quantification of the water that was used for that month. And we bill in 1,000 gallons, so when we give you the reading, those numbers that we give you is 000 at the end of that, so it's 1,000 gallons. We don't round up.
It's like if you got 600 gallons over that.
We wait till it tallies and ticks the next 1,000 gallons. So it's not rounded. So if you had 1,062 gallons, we'll wait till it becomes another.
So it's truncated to the
2,000
largest, or to the closest integer.
I'm
1,000.
sorry?
It's truncated to the closest integer, like 1,000.
No, until it ticks, we don't charge. So you're getting the number amount of the 1,000. So if it's 15,000 gallons, 600, 800, 999, until it ticks again to that 16,000 gallons, where you're not charged.
I'm
So it's a
agreeing with you.
phantom,
Oh, okay.
phantom figure that
I have one more question.
pinches you the next time
You mentioned about
around.
the $1 million. So what is it costing us to have this new system?
The system for us to have,
Us as customers?
the bill has not been, we have not passing this
On to us.
charge, correct, where the money is coming out, excuse us, hold on.
Money's coming out of which fund? That's the main thing I got.
We gotta give him a chance to get to that.
Yeah.
He was about to answer, the computer went down.
I'm serious about this. I dealt with it in the military. It cost.
Somebody's paying for
I had a $5 million a year budget whenever I was
So-
running laboratories in the military.
So to answer your question, the money is coming out of the water fund. We had reserve money, and that's where the money's coming out to pay for this. It's from the reserve. So we
And who put
have,
the money in the reserve funds?
I'm sorry?
Where'd that money come from?
The
Reserve funds? Is it like over
Taxes?
years and years and years?
Correct.
of- I don't
correct.
wanna say overcharge, but more than we needed to pay?
Well, no, so you always have money going in to that allotment and for CIP or things that are coming up, infrastructure upgrades. You can't just, you can, if you're building a house and you know you're gonna have things over time that you're gonna have to repair, you put money aside so you can, and you budget for those things. And that's something that we were able to take money allotted for,
Routine maintenance.
maintenance and upgrades and stuff like that, and that's what we took that money from.
Okay.
Jesse, or sir?
That's not a good answer.
Answer the question about the
That's all I can say.
rounding off for me. So like, in column D, here, you see that? Column D, you see that, like they're,
555.
like one, yeah, like 1,475 gallons.
Uh-huh.
If you read the meter, it's only, on your bill, it's gonna be 1,000,
Yep.
okay? So anything that's above 1,000 will still read at 1,000, until it goes down above 2,000, to 2,083, for example, that's when your meter reading will be 2,002,
I understand that, but I guess what is happening is, say I want to build a pond and I don't know exactly how. I know how big I want it to be, but I don't know how much water it's actually going to hold. I have all these calculations that I need to do in order to figure that out. Well, if I just build a pond, turn on the water, fill up the pond, I read it before and I read it after, and I get exact numbers off of the meter.
Off your meter, you'll get the exact number,
And I was wondering if that was anywhere on any of the documentation that we have.
unless you have to export it.
And so that's exported there.
Yeah.
And it's taking it to the gallon, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. But you can't export it to the computer.
All right. Do we have any more questions? Does that answer your question?
It gave me a new avenue.
If you actually look at the meter itself, you can look at the exact gallon amount.
Oh, I do.
I open that up once a day, and I take the I got charts going back years. And at the end of the month, I'll take that reading and I'll figure it up, and I'll figure it, just like I do with CPS. I can figure it up to $1. My bill this month is gonna be in CPS, is gonna be $58.30. Which that's low for a 3,000 square foot house.
They're a good steward of your money.
Yeah, well, I did a lot of work.
And to make it happen.
Makes sense.
Do we have any more questions? Does that answer? If you guys have more questions, if you guys want to get set up on the customer portal, we're going to stay here and help you.
I just
If-
take it home and I'll set it up on my computer.
If you know what you're doing, by all means. And to everyone out there, if you guys have any questions, feel free to call us here at City Hall. We'll help and walk you guys through it. And I appreciate you guys coming out, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And you too. Thanks.
So the company actually, I thought it was Atlanta or something, but the company Tennessee.
I hear what you're saying, because when I got here and they said,
Server, they don't say